Certainly. Okay, so we determined before you were right-handed.
Right.
All right, and I already did my general script on the start and end, so it'll be pretty quick and painless.
All right, cool.
All right, let's see that right-handed. This one that runs across the top is your heart line. This one that runs through here is your lifeline. Excuse me, it's your headline. I get saying this all day that my tongue gets in the way of my mouth.
That's understandable.
So we have your heart line across the top, your headline here, and this one that scoops around here is your lifeline. Now, what we're going to do, let me just back up here. I'm just going to peek around the edge, okay? Your lines are very strong. They're very dark. They pop up. They're very easy to read.
Is that a good thing?
That is a good thing. Being able to read, how do I want to say this? See all these little secondary lines, these little hard to read lines?
Yeah.
Those are called secondary lines. Oftentimes I get people whose main lines are just the same consistency of the secondary lines. And just, of course, I get them as the sun goes down. And it just makes my life so much difficult. But also it implies that, not that they're lesser people, of course, but that they have a lesser experience. Real deep lines, nice defined lines like this, and your heart line tell me that you're a very emotionally intellectual type of person. You have a good emotional responsibility or emotional maturity. Also, in your lifeline, that pops, or excuse me, your headline. I don't know why I keep saying that.
What do you mean by headline? What is it like?
Headline, that's just the
Like
name
what?
of the line, but it represents your intellectual pursuits, things of that nature. Aspects of your life that are concerned with the intellectual pursuits will be reflected here on this line. But again, very well defined, very dark, pops right up. It just tells me you're an intellectual person, you're capable of thought. If we were to have a conversation, it would most likely include, anecdotal humor, jokes, fun facts, things of that nature. You're not the type to just nod and smile. In this case, yes, because I'm doing all the talking. But in another case, in a normal social situation, you're more of a participator.
Yes.
If I were to say something that you didn't understand, you'd stop me and ask. That type of thing. Whereas a lot of people just nod and smile. Those secondary lines I was talking about, people like that, nod and smile the whole way. And would rather not have something explained to them that they don't understand, as opposed to asking about it because they don't want people to think they don't know. That kind of thing. So again, very well defined lines. Your heart line pops right out. Oftentimes it'll wrap around. Yours doesn't. Yours does a little bit, but not a whole lot. The wrap around usually implies romanticism. It doesn't take away from the fact. If I say something and it's not present, it doesn't mean the opposite. It just, different telltales. The fact that your line does wrap a little bit, but not all the way around, tells me you're a little bit of a romantic, but you have a very well-defined line. So that tells me that you're very in touch with your emotional situation. When you feel the ups, when you're up, you're up. When you're down, and you feel all the little gray clicks in between. The romanticism I'm talking about, that's usually people that the first couple of days against a relationship, they love to do that head poppy thing where they're just like, oh, this is the one, we're going to be together forever, and, that kind of thing. You do that, but it's more, you allow yourself to do that, and it's something that you have control over, and you brace yourself right out of it real quick. You have a good sense of your emotional situation, so that's, if I had seen that on your hand with this level of sensitivity, I would be advising you about not building yourself up too high because it's just a further fall. But I can see that you've seen a couple of speed bumps along the way. You have a good emotional responsibility. You're very capable of making it. You don't need that warning from me. Moving on to your headline, which cuts across straight. A straight headline always tells me that the person is a very high moral individual. You know the difference between right and wrong, and you tend to practice the right. You tend to choose the right way more often than not. It does angle downwards a little bit, which does tell me it's kind of a slightly negative trait, but it's not terrible. 100 years ago, I've said this now to a couple of your friends who have this similar marking. 100 years ago, everybody treated each other like neighbors. It was easy to care about other people because other people cared about you. Nowadays, we live in New York City. Nobody really gives a shit about each other. It's one of those things to where it's rather difficult to care about other people. When a headline ducks down into this part of the hand, it just tells me that you don't use your intelligence that you have available to you to make the world a better place around you. More often than not, most lines go downwards nowadays. Excuse me. Sometimes I see them straight. Yours is a very good angle. Often I see them downwards. I've never seen one come upwards. I very rarely see the straight ones.
Is this a rare one?
No. Yours cuts down, it holds nice. I'm just saying for comparison to other people, because it is a negative quality. I very rarely see straight flat ones. I did see one amongst your friends. I believe it was the dark-haired girl here in the glasses, not the sunglasses. But she had one that kind of peaked up a little bit, went down and then peaked up. I've never seen one peak up, like just straight up and peak up. But that kind of implies like a redeeming quality, something like that. But if you were to become more civically interested, more concerned about the people in your world, you would that line would begin to flatten itself out. See where these two lines connect?
Yeah.
And they kind of become two separate lines? The point where they separate, that represents the point in your life where you started choosing the clothes that you wear, the TV shows that you watch, the books that you read. Really, you started choosing the influences that were part of your life, that influenced your life directly. That is to say, previous to this point, your parents pretty much chose what clothes you wore, what food you ate, all the different things that build up you as yourself. So this point represents the point where you separate from that and start making the decisions for yourself, and that really determines you as an individual. Previous to that, I see a very tight relationship with your family. Oftentimes with guys I say mama's boy, with girls I say daddy's girl, but really it just implies you had a very tight relationship with your family. Not to say that you don't now, it's just in your youth, I can see that you did. Your lifeline cuts down here, again, very well defined. Very dark line that pops right up. You have a lot of these lines that cross over. We had talked about those before as being goals or aspiration lines. They come right up to the line. When they do meet the line, that represents a point where you've achieved that goal or it's a success. At other points where they connect, it could imply that you have failed that goal or such. It's just all about the strength in which they connect. Let me see. I just want to peek down here. You have a triangle at the end of your lifeline. And I'm not seeing one. Oh yeah, it's right there. It's huge. It's just big. Okay. See this big triangle that forms right here in the middle of your hand? Triangles tend to reflect talents, or natural talent, natural abilities, things of that nature. So you have a natural talent or a natural ability, being that falls in the headline. It kind of implies a little something, which I'll tell you about in just a moment. Well, I'll tell you about it now. As it connects up to your headline, whenever I see a triangle line where one of the lines of the three is the headline, that implies a sense of sorry, I'm being distracted. The triangle always implies a talent, and the fact that it's part of your headline implies that it's a sense of intellectual pursuit involved in it. Usually when it's on this part of the hand, or on that part of that end of the line, I tend to think of something more along the lines of writing, or filmmaking, or dance. Not dance as much, that's more physical. Acting. Things that require talent but also require an intellectual pursuit, and together, that's what these triangles tend to represent. The reason I'm pointing it out is because you have a triangle down here on your lifeline. Now, this triangle is not completely formed, which tells me it's a talent that you have. It has some good form, so it's something that you're interested in, something you pursued at different points in your life, but it's not completely formed, which is the difference between a skill and a talent. Talents are natural, skills are defined. A talent can become a skill, or a skill can be attained on its own, but you cannot just develop a talent. You just have it and you don't. You have a talent, you can develop it into a skill. If you do develop it to a skill, it will be part of your lifeline, so it can be something that you can pursue as a life goal, as your career.
So it'll be part of my life, what you're saying. It'll be in my lifeline.
Right, and it is. It's right down here on your lifeline. It's part of your lifeline. So this triangle represents a talent. It's intellectually based. It is not completely formed, so that means that you would have to polish it a little bit. If you have this talent available to you, it's something you've done something with in the past but haven't been extremely over-involved in. If you discover what this is, it does require some intellectual pursuit. Discover what this is, polish those edges up a little bit, really turn this talent into a skill. You can make it part of your life. It can be a life pursuit, a goal, a career of that nature. So that's always good to know. I don't know what the talent is. You're going to require a little introspection on that. But it is something you have done. You practiced it a little bit, so it is something that you have a passion for. It's something that's going to pop out at you as something you're truly interested in. Once you polish that up a little bit, it will become something you can do with your life. Right. So you definitely want to give a little introspective thought on that. That's generally what I have here, but now would be a good time to give me that question.
The question,